A lot of confusion about the golf swing these days on YouTube. Everybody's teaching something different. There's so many different concepts. How do you sift through all the confusion? Well, the one thing that helps you to have the simplest golf swing ever is thinking this. The golf swing is common sense if you let it be that way. Meaning, deep down inside, I think you know the most efficient way to make a golf swing. And today, we're unpacking the simplest way to swing a golf club with tons of power. You'll have more fun and less time stressing over it on the internet. So we have to take a look at what is common sense and what isn't common sense. First, common sense tells us we have to play great golf. We have to hit the ball first. We got to take a nice divot after the ball. How do I go about doing that? Well, I've got to learn how to control contact. So how do I hit the ball solid and powerful? How do I get over it? Not much thinking. Do this, strike it well, and have a good day without thinking. I have to learn what controls contact, and that brings me to the things that control contact. First thing is your weight. So my weight position over the ball, it's a little bit more forward here. Why? Because I want to hit the ball and then take a divot after it. My arm, my lead arm is staying straight. And if I keep it straight throughout the swing, I'll return that club the same spot every time. So that's going to allow for a consistent contact point. But don't you see how this is common sense? Like if I drew a circle right here and the ball was the bottom of the circle, actually the bottom of the circle will be right here because that's where my divot is. But just get the idea of this swing circle. If I was swinging, wouldn't I want to keep that circle in the same spot every time? Isn't that just common sense? Why would I go around trying to move my circle in either direction? Do I want to do that for more speed? Does that make sense? Well, it doesn't really make sense because to hit it far, you've got to hit it solid. So if I want to start at hitting it solid, I can't be doing this. There's no way I can hit solid. I got to time this all day long. That's a lot of variables. And so common sense tells us if I set the weight forward and I keep the weight forward throughout the swing, I will hit the ball first, take a divot. And if I keep the lead arm straight, I'll hit the ball first, take a divot. That's just common sense. It's not common sense to say that it's okay to shift and then it's okay to break down your lead arm because now I've got variables. So you're breaking down your circle. Keeping the circle wins championships, gets you playing great golf. And it's just common sense. Let's look at another key point of the swing. Releasing the hands. A lot of people like to talk about turning their hands over after impact. Now a lot of golfers tell me that's not common sense when they really think about it. Isn't that surprising? Turning my hands after impact, consciously turning my hands, rotates the club. And so that's causing my club face to point left. That ball's going left all day long. I've got to time that. People will say that gives you more speed. It gives you more control. It actually does none of those things. Because it doesn't make any sense as to this makes me more powerful. I'm literally just turning my hands. Nothing's going on. That's not common sense. What's common sense is to take this strike right here and to simply send it without rotating my hands. I'm just going to send it through. Now look at my finish position. Now you're tempted to say, Tom, you turned your hands over. But no, I didn't. I hit it an entirely different way. I did not do this, which is weak and powerless. I did this. Drove down and through the ball without turning my hands. It's an illusion. But common sense already told you this because when you took a hammer and you banged it into a nail for the first time, you didn't go around doing this. No, your parents would have whacked you upside the head and said, go get us something out of the kitchen. Like, we'll take care of this. No, instead, boom, boom, boom. That's the golf swing. That's impact. Power punch impact. So it's common sense. Just a household thing, household activity that you can do. It's common sense. Let's look at another thing, like the backswing. Golfers are told to get their arms as high as possible. Get those arms moving up in the backswing and then reroute the club. Make sure you drop that thing in the slot. But is that really common sense? Don't you ever think like, all the things you got to time up in your golf swing and how much effort that takes. Well, if I'm going to get my hands and arms this high up, I've then got to consciously try and coordinate the dropping of the club and then the hitting of the ball. And that requires a whole lot of timing. So I don't think that's common sense. Now, common sense tells us that if I want to get to impact like this, I just bring the club right back to the top. Look at that. I just started at impact, went back to the top. That's what my backswing should be, because I can go right back to the ball without having to do any psycho moves. That's common sense. And then, it kind of reminds me of that scene out of Robin Hood Men in Tights. Don Barzini sitting there, he's, we're doing all this stuff, we're gonna do all this stuff, what are you making it so hard for? I'm thinking, that's exactly what we do to the golf swing when it's not common sense. So, what did we do already? We've eliminated so many things that would drive you crazy and replace them with common sense things. And that's what I'm teaching in my online golf school, Saguto.golf, how to have a common sense swing. Because deep down, you already know that you have to do these things. The only reason you stick with doing the other things is because everybody tells you to do them. Your 30 handicap friend that's sitting with you in the cart saying, hey, do this with your hand, turn it over. Hey, make sure you shift a little bit more. I think you need to shift more. Like, that's not common sense. No, the second you start sticking with common sense principles is the second you start playing the best golf of your life. Now, I was in the land of not common sense. What are we gonna call that? The land of despair? Yeah, that's pretty good. The pit of despair, if you're a fan of The Princess Bride. The pit of despair. Don't even think about go in there. Yeah, we don't want to spend any time in the pit of despair. That's why my free mini course, which I've already showed you on the screen, you should really check that out. Top 3 keys you need to be a great ball striker. They just show you how to start building a common sense swing. It's a great way to get started with this. So, some more common sense things. Keep your head still. Actually, the best tip of all time that people think is not a tip. They say, oh, don't keep your head still. And I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? Like, keeping my head over the ball throughout the entire swing gives me the same contact point. So I'm gonna leave you with this today, something that you can take with you to play better golf. The key is that we do common sense things. So you saw what I did first. When I hit that nice little stripe shot, I put my weight forward, I kept my lead arm straight, I swung my shoulders. That really is the basis of the simplest golf swing ever. Then you learn how to build it up into a much fuller swing. So I would start here, setting the weight forward. Be okay to set it more forward. Lead arm straight, weight forward, and just swing the shoulders. And then start experiencing that on a small level. That's common sense. Common sense tells us that you can be a great ball striker. That's common sense. Tom, if you say common sense one more time, I'm gonna come over there. Yeah. Then you just take this and you build it up more. I'm saying it so casually, like it's easy, right? And to tell you simply that it really is easy when you do the motions correctly. So if you were to go around saying, hey Tom, I've got my weight forward, I feel my weight forward, I got my arm straight, your arm's not, well, it's never gonna work. But if you are committed to just doing this, arm straight, weight forward, then you set the shoulders, then I'm just gonna swing a little bit, and I'm gonna stripe it, predictable, then you can play great golf. Now, take it up into the full swing. What happens then? Same thing. Why would I change it? I'd be crazy to change it because this is common sense. Weight forward, set this, swing the shoulders. There it is again. Same spot too. Controlling contact all day long. You can do it. Sure, I've practiced this, but I can also take massive breaks, come back, and my swing doesn't change. I can come right back to doing this again. So that tells you you don't have to spend your whole life hitting balls. You could go, take a vacation, come back, and then it's right here. Your swing's gonna be right here when you left, as long as you do these things. So go out there, make a common sense swing. Start getting rid of all the fluff and the nonsense in your swing, and you will play some tremendous golf.